Welcome to the In the Tank podcast. Get ready for an hour of hot 40K goodness coming in your ears. You're in the tank now, baby.
We're live.
We are indeed live. Welcome to In the Tank, episode 15. Getting there, lads. Getting there.
Every week it gets higher.
I say this every time. It's like, get there. We're getting doing the numbers.
We're getting there.
One day it'll be like the dark gods work. One day it'll be like the number 100, and I'll be like, oh my god, like wowzers. Oh, buddy. How have you been? How's your week been? You been all right?
Good, mate. Yeah, been a busy week, but all going well. Thank you. How about yourself?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
Good.
Yeah, all good, all good. I've got this new like transition thing of like talking about what we're working on by like quoting a previous episode, like, so what are you working on? What are you working on? What have you been working on?
I'm doing some Gene Stealer cults finally, which is good.
Yeah, because we got a doubles event.
We do.
We got a doubles event.
I keep changing my list for it, but it's basically I'm trying to use it as a great excuse to like paint all the core units that I'm going to put in basically every GSC list going forward. So that's kind of where I'm at. Yeah, just so I've got the heart of the lists, because you need like 1,000 fucking acolytes. So it's just 1,000,000 acolytes, basically. So it's going to be great fun. What about you?
Yeah, Xenogard, right?
Xenogard.
Me, I'm still chundering through my Deathwing Knights. I've nearly finished the creamy panels, which has driven me insane, because I've had to layer that like 8 or 9 times. With various lighter shades, and I'm literally at the edge highlighting point now, so that's good.
Yep. You love a bit of layering, cream, and edging, don't you?
I do. I certainly do. But I had to take a very brief palette cleanse to experiment with the colour scheme for my... you know what's happening here. For the Sons of Ascension, which will be my Word Bearers warband. Oh my god, dude, so much fun. I know this is quite divisive, because a lot of people are like, oh, CSM, and they're like trim, the metallic trim, like Chaos Space Marine trim. I love it. It's like, it takes like, what I do hate about painting Space Marines is like doing the edge highlight on what is quite curvy panels, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes I fuck it up, and it's not as obvious where the highlights and stuff are sometimes. But with CSM... I've done a really fun colour scheme that I think will be quite quick for it as well, but it's like grey, pre-heresy colour World Bearers with a hint of red as an accentuation and gold trim.
It's very cool.
So like that.
I love this. Fun. So we've got this meme, Russ and I now, where whenever like Russ says, I'm doing a palette cleanser, that's basically him collecting a new army and just using it. And he sends me these messages where he's basically like trying to sort of like convince himself that it's just like a palette cleanser. He's like, I'm just doing like 1 box of Legionaries. I've only got like 500 quid's worth of Space Marines in my cart on Element. And he's like, yeah, it's just a palette cleanser. Like, is it Russ?
I did order a box of Legionnaires that should be with me soon, which are the Kill Team ones with all the extra weapon upgrades and stuff.
You know.
Look, Lorgar got through to me in the end. He won in the end.
He won you through. Cool. I knew he would.
He won me through.
I keep sending Russ like these voice messages where I'm just like pretending to be Lorgar, and I'm just on his shoulder just going, yes, Russ, buy more Legionaries, my son.
No, it's
Join us really in funny. The eye of terror.
That was funnily enough what pushed me over the edge, and I was like, fuck it.
It was it?
Oh,
fuck.
Yeah, it was.
It
was genuinely. That was it. It was your fault. Before we go on to like some news and stuff, obviously, first things first, like, comment, subscribe, let us know that you care. We've had some wicked comments. We had loads of comments.
We have, It's getting more and more every week, which is fantastic.
Yeah, loving it. Loving the community feedback. And we do have some, we're not going to tell you who they are, but we have got like no less than 3 guests on the horizon potentially.
We do.
So that's cool. That's really cool.
It's very cool. Yeah. So we're going to try and do them sort of monthly, roughly, depending on how things shake out going forwards. I think it'll be nice just to get an extra person in here, and it'd be good fun just to grill them. Which will be brilliant.
Yeah. Before I go on to the news quickly, I just wanted to tell you, because you don't know this, because I haven't told you this yet.
Ooh,
but I had a really cool exchange with the Colour Forge recently that I just need to tell you all about, because this is how you do customer service right, okay? So, for anybody who don't know, I kickstarted the signature range of spray paints that... did you know about this, Ed?
No.
The signature range. Oh, what? Dude.
No.
Really? So, the
I'm out
Colour
of the loop,
Forge...
mate.
Wow. The Colour Forge, the awesome UK-based aerosol primer company, did a collaboration with a lot of personalities in the
Oh,
Warhammer
I do know about
space.
this. This is the one I mentioned last time. Yeah, I do know about this one. Yeah, carry on.
Brilliant. Which you know, they did one with Peachy and one with Suggs and etc. Of their own signature colours, essentially. And I backed it. And I backed 4 colours. I backed Mikey from Hellstorm Wargaming Reliquary Red for my sisters. I backed Midwinter Minis Midwinter Ice for my sisters, because I'm doing a red and blue one. Me and my wife loved the bright pink of Suggs's one, so we did that one. And then we also did Pete the Wargamer's Dead Animal Bits, because it just seems like a really cool
Dead Animal Bits.
one. Dead Animal Bits. That was my favourite, I must confess.
Yeah.
But I had the Kickstarter. It arrived yesterday.
Okay.
And when I opened the box, the Reliquary Red, that like the UPS person just smashed it, basically. And the top part of the can thing had broken, and it sprayed some on the inside. And I basically sent them a Facebook message. I just want to read you this exchange because it's cool. Where I basically told them the situation. I was like, hey, you know, like, I don't know if you can send me a replacement. Like, I sent them some photos, and they were like, hey Russ, gutted for you. Sorry about the damage. A replacement is speeding to your door via drop pod deployment, or DPD in high Gothic for those that speak it. And then they put, the Emperor protects even if couriers don't. Kind regards, the Colour Forge. So no ifs or buts, just sent it out without even, and they didn't even need to, like, they just literally just sent a new one out, so a free one out for me, and they sent me that awesome message. So I was like, I'm going to read that on the pod, because that is how you do customer service. That is how you do it,
yeah. Not only did they fix your issue, but they stayed in universe as well, which is fantastic.
Yeah. I was like, I read that out to my wife, and she was like, that's amazing. So there we go. So, we had some reveals at the weekend, Ed. What do you think of the reveals?
I mean, none of them were really that sort of impressive. I like the sausages, because I always like a sausage. But,
me too.
I think that Rattlings needed new models, right? They've needed them for ages. They've had various models over the years. Some of them have been quite cool. There's been like a couple that came from Blackstone Fortress, which were quite cool. A lot of people use those and proxied them in, but they were just 2, I think. So it's quite good that they're getting a proper new set, and also the special one with the little, like little party that they're having, picnic or whatever, is very cool. So that was kind of my highlight for it. What about yourself?
Yeah, the second breakfast sniper team is so cool, to the point where they got like a cup of gravy and stuff. I'm totally buying that. I found it quite weirdly fatalistic that I talked about the Rattlins shoot Sharp and Scarpa, and then they had a release that week. I was kind of a bit freaked out by that. I was like, what? I was like, that's so weird.
Because we were saying, God, they need new models, and then they were like, here's some new Rattling models. Maybe hang on a minute.
Weird.
Do you know what? We really need Emperor's Children.
Well, I was
he's
right.
Singing about that too,
Fuck
didn't
you,
he?
Ed.
No,
are you
no.
like no?
You said
no.
You said
no.
You said by the end of the year.
I said by the end of the edition is what I said, and you were like, actually, I don't think they're going to do that. Actually, I think you're wrong. What? And I was like,
I was actually going to start painting my CSM.
I got gaslighted.
I was going to start painting my CSM at some point, and I was thinking to myself, do I do them like, Emperor's Children, or do I just stick with the few that I've got, which are done in obviously word bearers? But then I was thinking, well, you're doing word bearers now, so I don't really want to double dip onto word bearers, because that's just a bit silly. So I was thinking to myself, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait, let the grey plastic gather some dust for a few months, and then when they bring it out, any of the ones that they're going to be able to use, because obviously I probably won't be able to use the entire range of CSM stuff, but we'll see. And then I'll probably just do Emperor's Children, because I just have a soft spot for them, as you heard in previous episodes. They are my jam. So we'll see what happens.
I think my wife wants to do Emperor's Children as well because of the bright
They're
pink.
cool.
And she's just like,
It's the
cool.
pink.
And,
I look great in hot pink as well. You got to own it. You really do.
It's one of those looks where you got to totally like wear it. You
got to be confident in your sexuality.
I'm just a bit too dark. I'm just a bit too like I want to be the Scandi Dilf. So I'm just
you do. I can't
attire.
see you in like a long sort of woolen hot pink jumper that goes down to like the back of your knees. I think it's a bit too much pink. You probably look like some sort of art teacher or something. You're having a midlife crisis.
It's kind of what I kind of am anyway, but there we go.
Yeah,
it's
pretty much. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say it, but
that's fine. And you also got some tank busters and the Christmas boxes.
Yes. I mean, they're a bit hit and miss. I think the Dark Angels one is really, really good.
Okay.
Like, if people are wanting to play Dark Angels, that is just value. But if you are playing like Tau, dog shit. And also, did you see the one about the Imperial Knights? Did you see this? What they did? You can only build it as a paladin or an errant. They're not even putting the sprues in for the other guns or for Canis. It's basically that they released one in 2022, which is the exact same box. So this is just worse, basically.
Yeah,
pretty much.
I would say that like they did. It was almost the same, wasn't it? I would say that the Dark Angels. If anyone ever wants to play Dark Angels, and you're sat on the shelf about whether you play Dark Angels or not, that box is literally like 1,000 points of Dark Angels, and it's actually pretty strong right now because you get two squads of Deathwing Knights. The Lion, who is I ran him when he wasn't like feasibly playable.
Oh, you're so
and
ahead
I still
of the
did
trend.
quite well. Dude, I was, and now I'm running him anyway. And also the Inner Circle companions again, which have got a massive buff now and are really, really strong.
Yeah.
So that's like 1,000 points. That's like 1,000 points of Dark Angels.
It's definitely a great box.
It's a great box. Like buy that.
Depends on the price, but I imagine it'll be.
I reckon it'll be 115, 130 or something. Like that's really good value. That's great, especially if you get it in a GameStop or something. The Night box, again, probably good value, but just not as good value as it used to be.
A bit annoying that you don't get all the weapons. Because like if you want a Questoris, you want to be able to magnetize the shit out of it like I did with mine and then run everything. And now you can't. And it's just a bit like, they're pushing you into the arms of 3D printers, right? Or buying secondhand stuff on eBay. So
yeah, there you go.
Silly.
And the Necron one looks all right, mate, with the old Void Dragon in it. That's all right.
Yeah,
that looks pretty good.
The
fucking Tau one might as well not exist. The Tau one is dog shit. I've never seen.
It must be like 20 quid.
Weird. Because what is
Bizarre
it like a fucking Ghost Keel, a Riptide, and a Commander, and like
stuff.
I'm like, what? You just go ham. I would have gone if that was me. Do you know what my box would have been? Although it would have been probably too expensive. Storm Surge, 2 Riptides.
Storm Surges are so cool.
And 2 Riptides.
Yeah.
Or Storm Surge, Riptide, Ghost Keel. Just do all the elite ones and just do all 3 of the elite ones.
It's just a bit of a lackluster box. I think we'll see. Like, I'm sure that the Dark Angels ones will sell out pretty quickly, but I don't think the rest are going to be flying off the shelves, to be honest.
That'll go.
I don't think the Knights one's terrible for people getting into Knights, but it's just annoying that you don't get all the weapon options because you 100% want those.
This is how not of a gatekeeper that I am. It's like, join me in the first legion, the greatest legion. We will bring them fire.
You're already turning against it.
Yeah, I'm turning into a bit of a heretical asshole, aren't I? Like, goddamn. There you go, see.
Yep.
It's all good. So, we better get on to our subjects.
We should.
It's cool, though. It's cool to have a good old chat concerning, like, news and stuff. So, this one has been on the topics list for a while, and I was brewing this last night when I was just chilling out. And it is a subject that I think is a really interesting subject at its core.
Yeah.
And runs just quite a huge part of the hobby and the lore of the hobby. Mysteries, the best mysteries in the hobby yet to be, like, cracked open and discovered, right? And there's loads of stuff here that we can do about. Honestly, the whole fucking pod could be this and some.
There's so many.
Just a disclaimer, I will quote Louise as a source, aka Suggs, for one of these, which I loved in her. She did a Warhammer 40K Mysteries Iceberg video, and I loved this one so much, and it's the one that I think you will be most interested in. That I was like, I need to talk about this because it's wicked. But I just wanted to quote my sources and be completely transparent. Everything else is me, but I just wanted to quote that one.
Yeah.
So, do you want to go first or shall I go first?
Yeah, no, I'll go first. So there is one.
Right.
I don't know exactly which world this took place on, right? Okay. So basically, it's a story about, I think it was in the Sabbath World Crusade, a hive world just went dark, like the whole planet, right? It just, communication lost.
I've heard about this.
Team of Astartes arrived to investigate and they found the whole place deserted. Couldn't find a single sign of human life. No invasion, no panic. I'm literally reading this off Reddit, by the way, because this is like a really hot mystery. So if you guys have ever heard, this is where I'm getting it from. No bodies, no remains, literally everything gone. Okay. Eventually, they found a single Lehman Russ halfway up the side of a hive tower. Go on. Did you want to interrupt?
No. I
which
just
is a place
knew
it
what
could
you were
never have got
saying.
to under its own power. And then apparently the only thing that they found, the only piece of remains, was a calcified human hand that was on one of the control levers, right? Cut through at the wrist with microscopic precision, right? That was the only remains they found on the whole damn planet, right? It was repopulated years later, but apparently you can hear horrific screams emanating from deep in the hive cities occasionally, and nobody can find out where it's coming from. And it's such a cool mystery because everyone's just like, what the fuck happened here? Where's everyone gone? What killed them or took them? And why are we hearing like the echoes of this like years later? It's a haunted hive world now. Terrifying. Shit like that is my jam, right?
The Lehman Russ bit is the freakiest bit. Like that's the weird. That's fucking gnarly, isn't it? Love
Bizarre.
that. I funnily enough, I knew that mystery as well. Like, I knew that. Like, and I was
I found out about it
with you
like a year or so ago when I was doing all the shorts for Liam's channel because I was going to do a short on it, but there's not like a huge amount of information about it. But it's just such a cool idea, and I love the idea of like all these people waking up in the middle of the night, the hive city just like screaming. You know, a bit like what's that film? Event Horizon. I fucking love Event Horizon. By the way, if you've never watched it, you should watch it because it's basically a 40K film that's not technically a 40K film, and plus it's cheesy as fuck and it's great, and it's got what's his name in it from Jurassic Park. What's his name? God damn it, forgot his name. Sam something. Anyway, the one that's like taking his glasses off and he's like, oh my God.
I know.
He's in it. And it's just so good. Like, and they basically have this, at one point they find this recording of like the ship's crew and like they play it and it's just like agonizing screams and torture. and the guy just stops the film and he's like, we should probably get the fuck out of here. It's just such a great moment. You should definitely watch that film.
I love those 40K, not 40K movies. Starship Troopers is another one, right? Where it's like basically Nids versus Guard, right? You right? I had like a smash.
Yeah, no, I just tried to pick my cup up and drop my coaster. Sorry. It's stuck to the bottom, the classic.
Profesh.
Yeah, Profesh. But no, that's a great one.
That's a cool one. I like that one. So, shall I move on to the one that I've quoted old Suggsy on? So, this one is affectionately referred to as like the dark deeds of Malkador or Malkador's war crimes. Yeah. So, obviously, Malkador himself is like, we should do a whole topic on why Malkador is the best character in 40K anyway. He is fucking lad. Absolutely. I want a model for him for the Horus Heresy, but I have a feeling it'd be like tiny. So OP. It's so OP, right? But essentially, Malkador's entire background, like the Emperor himself, is shrouded in mystery. Obviously, he's like the Emperor's bro, and they've been hanging out, not literally, but they've been hanging out over the centuries, right? And they're just best friends that just hang out and shoot the shit and play Regicide and, you know, talk about the future of mankind as you do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But obviously, Malkador's been alive for so long. He's got a very dark and, I imagine, quite fucked up past where he's made some decisions in his past that have, for the greater good of humanity, probably been ethically quite unsound choices, right? So, I don't know if you know that he does this, but he clones himself, Ed. He clones himself.
Right.
A hybrid DNA of human and Eldari so that he can psychically communicate with them.
Right.
Purely for the premise, and this is all he uses this clone of himself for basically talking to them about all of the responsibilities and confessions of his dark past. And do you know what happens to that? Do you know what happens to that clone?
I should imagine it gets pretty fucked up.
They kill themselves out of depression. Is what happens. And he goes through hundreds of them.
Oh my god! What?
So
I never knew about this.
Yeah, no, I didn't either until I was somebody. So
he's like, so he sits this guy down, and he's like. So it was like the early 2000s, and I was working in retail, and this guy's like.
No, I imagine it's like, so, you know, well, how would you feel about sacrificing 30,000 worlds to save humanity? Do you know what I mean? And it's just
the guy's like, this is some heavy shit, Malcador.
So they go insane. I don't know if they necessarily kill themselves or self-delete per se, as it is like, and I'm not making light of that because it's fucked up.
Obviously not.
You know, and or they go insane and they have to be terminated or whatever. But like, it's purely, there's no other reason but to stabilize Malcador's own psychology and just self-therapize by talking to this, and just venting all of his insecurity and all of his dark, fucked up shit. And the mystery, of course, is, what is he saying? Like, what is he talking about that would send?
It's dark.
Love
Like, I mean, he's literally just fucked? It's just like he's just psychically like dumping. You know what they say? A problem shared is a problem halved. You know, that is messed up.
What I also love about that is it kind of shows Malcador's humanity in a way that, like, even him, like a sort of demigod made flesh, needs someone to talk to every now and again. It just so happens to be him. It just so happens to be another Malcador that can understand the way of, like, its own responsibility.
It's madness.
So fucking baller. It's so baller. That. I love as well, very quickly, how he also has, like, the Mona Lisa and stuff, like, in his, like, office.
Yeah,
like,
of course
cash.
he does.
Like, he's like rescued all of that classic art, like the statue of David and stuff. It's just like
it gives me like
holding it like a gremlin.
It gives me like Equilibrium vibes. Do you remember like when he finds that like secret room full of all like the artwork and stuff that they've like tried to salvage and keep, and it's like he sort of walks through this gallery and he's like, oh yeah. Nice.
What a controversial opinion. What a shit movie. But anyway, moving on.
Whoa.
It's a terrible movie.
Did we just become enemies?
You can't. We already became enemies.
Equilibrium is fantastic. Fuck you.
Awful.
Gun Carter is awesome. It's a great film.
It's not. It's fucking terrible.
I will die on that hill. It's great. All right, anyway. Yeah, it's fucking great. If you don't love Christian Bale, like, shooting people in a dark room, then there's something wrong with you. So my next one is, where the fuck did the Tyranids come from? Are they running from something bigger and scarier than they are? Or are they just like engulfing galaxies on their own and just sort of like, you know, traveling between the stars, and they've just so happened to find some new food? Like, what's the origin of these guys, right? Because they're like the one big bad that seems to have come from outside the Milky Way galaxy. And it's such an interesting one because obviously they are truly alien. You know, they are literally inspired by H.R. Geiger's Alien. And if you've never been to his museum, by the way, it's in Gruyere in Switzerland. I've been because I am part Swiss.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, not only a little bit, but you know, Swiss enough.
That's
like
cute.
I've got a Swiss hand or Swiss knob or something like that, which explains a few things. But anyway, been to Gruyere. His museum's really cool because they've got like all of the original artwork that sort of they inspired the Alien movies and like, you know, that art direction and stuff. It's so cool. And they've actually got like a little pub or cafe opposite, which is like made of bones, like the whole thing. If you Google it, it's literally just all bones. It's insane, like alien bones. It's mad. Just Google it. H.R. Geiger Cafe.
I thought you were being
No, it's not real bones. No, they're not real bones. Although there are places like that are in the world, but no, this is like a sort of, it's like a design. It's really cool. But anyway, so getting back onto the topic, they are obviously inspired by the Alien movies / H.R. Geiger's kind of art style, and I love that. I've always loved that anyway because it's such a cool, like, grim, dark, horrible, just gnarly sort of aesthetic. But it comes into the galaxy and sort of, we don't really know why. Is it just the hunger of consuming more biomass that's driving them, or are they being pushed here by something else? Have they been driven out of a separate galaxy?
Something Cthulhuid, or the Rangdang. There you go.
Exactly. You just don't know. So that's a really cool one. It's a bit open-ended, but I love it as a sort of, just sort of, like people think about the Holy Roman Empire. It's my kind of thing where I'm just...
where did the Tyranids came from? Yeah. I guess as well, we'll never know per se unless I guess we'll never know because we'll never get a first-person, like, hive...
And the hive mind, right?
Thing, right?
Where is it? Like, where is that located? Like the actual hive mind, as it were. Like, is it? And also, there's another like hive fleet Tiamat acting strange and doing different things to the rest of the Tyranids, and they were a bit like separate, and people can't figure out what's going on. There's a lot of mysteries revolving around them. They're very cool. So.
I guess it's because they're the other, right? I guess it's because they are the other species and arguably the biggest threat to humanity, apart from chaos, right? So, Tyranids are cool. Tyranids are weird because it's never a faction I would ever play, but I love that they exist in the setting.
Yeah, I might get them one day.
I really love
see.
them.
One day.
I just could never imagine fielding a load of rubbly aliens.
I like it. Yeah, I've been playing a little bit of Space Marine 2 now that I've got the Battle Barn PC built because it's an absolute fucking beast. It's literally called the Beast. And I had a little dabble on Space Marine 2 because I just couldn't resist. And it is like, killing Tyranids and stuff is awesome. I think we faced off against like a hive tyrant, and the only reason we were able to kill it was basically because it had a girder stuck through its whole body the entire time and had lost like an arm or two just because we dropped a bridge on it. Basically, and like even then, it was one hell of a fight. Like they're so cool, the Tyranids. But
we live in such a cool world that exists. We live in such a cool world that game exists.
You haven't played it yet.
Bring it on more. Yeah, I am planning to more of that, please. More similar stuff, please. Bring it on.
Yes, please. So go on, hit me with your next one.
I'm going to save one that I was going to talk about for another time because I'll put them into Xenos species because I've got too much to say about them, and I will save that one.
Fine.
So to do my last topic on this that I think is really interesting, who is Cypher and are they Alpharius / Omegon? So we kind of like I blew my yogurt live on pod once when we discussed this.
Yes, you did.
I think this was on the episode The Death of Forge World, right? Where we talked about like the fight between Fulgrim and the Lion and Cypher / Alpharius presenting it. I love the idea that Cypher, as we know him in the current setting, is Alpharius. Just hiding. Because the thing with Cypher that I find so interesting, right, is obviously Cypher is a position, being a Dark Angels fanboy, I know quite a lot about Cypher as a concept, right? So the position of Cypher goes way back to like Calibanite history, where
it's not just one guy that's been Cypher the whole time.
It's a position.
It's multiple people.
It's a position like chapter master or whatever. And when you become Cypher, you essentially let go of all your previous identity and you become Cypher, right? And that is who you are now. And even throughout the course of the history of the Dark Angels during the Crusade / the Horus Heresy, the position of Cypher did change, right?
Yeah.
I think 3 times, to eventually the last Cypher that we know of was Saphariel, who was the central figure in the Descent of Angels series, right?
Yeah.
I don't believe Zaphariel is the current Cypher. I believe that Alpharius found a perfect guise to be, and to because the thing that doesn't make sense about Cypher, if he was just a fallen angel and that was that, fair enough, like mystery over, like he's just a fallen angel. But the weird fucking strange thing about Cypher is his motivation and what he actually does in the context of the setting, because he does what the Alpha Legion do all the time, which is they're mysterious. I'm going to help the Imperium. I'm not going to help the Imperium. I'm going to help Chaos. I'm not going to help Chaos. Where he'll just like randomly appear on a battlefield and help a load of guardsmen, or he'll like rag on the Dark Angels, or he will weirdly do something pro Dark Angels, where he will like give them back relics or something. And he's been captured more than a few times by the Dark Angels and done what Alpharius would do, which is to be the master of stealth and escape, right? Every single time. So, like, that shows a power level of stealth that, like, a normal Astartes wouldn't have. Even one blessed by the Chaos Gods, right? Like, he has some weird power creep.
Didn't they let him go once, deliberately, from memory?
That was, no, that was Azrael had a weird sort of semi-time travel dreamy thing.
Right, okay.
I don't think they ever actively let Cypher go per se, right?
But he's escaped a number of times, obviously.
Yeah, and he also, in his recent book, also had the ability to fuck over custodians he escaped from the Imperial Palace, right?
Yeah,
that's fucking hardcore.
This is a deep bit of lore.
That is hardcore.
I did a short on this one as well because I thought it was so cool. And it's all about, like, he basically turns up in the throne room with the lion sword, and he basically, like, breaks through with a load of fallen or whatever it is, and he gets through the custodians, and then I think doesn't, like, one of the custodians that has been slain is sort of like comes back to life and speaks with what we assume might be the Emperor's voice or something like that, and basically tells him not yet, and at that point Cypher's like, okay, cool, I'm just gonna leave, and then, like, fucks off again, and you're like, not yet what? Like, was he gonna kill the Emperor and release his body as a not eternal, I nearly said eternal, as a perpetual. We just don't know what the fuck was.
He's so Alpharius. I'm sorry. That's such an Alpharius thing to do because, like, it's helping the Emperor, not helping the Emperor again, right? And doing the greater good.
He's pulling strings, right, for both sides. It's almost like he's trying to keep us on that sort of timeline where something is going to shake out how he wants it to, right? It needs to shake out that way, right?
He also helped Guilliman too, and that was the reason why he ended up on Terra in the first place, was because he helped Guilliman get to Terra and break out of his cell when he was captured by the fallen powers, right? And then his only prerequisite for Guilliman to help him was that I need to have a chat with the Emperor, right? Which is what we presume he was going to do there, right?
Interesting.
And, like, why would he help Guilliman? Like, unless it's his bro. And the fact that he would be that size as well, because Alpharius is smaller. Because he just disguises himself.
It all adds up, right?
Dude, and also the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Like, the weird biblical thing of the first legion and the last legion and their relationship with each other, and, like, the weird, like, parodies that each other have. Like, I love Cypher. Cypher is genuinely probably my second favourite character. My second favourite character in the entirety of 40K. I love Cypher. He's so cool.
Yeah, I think he's wicked. Like, everyone loves him because he's so enigmatic and mysterious, and, like, people are just like, you know, what's his jam? Like, what's he doing? He's got a master plan. Yeah. Clearly, there's something, you know, going on up there. If he is Alpharius, you know, as you said, that aligns perfectly with that kind of mentality. Like, the way the Alpha Legion seem to have, you know, swat sides here or there, or sort of, you just don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're infiltrating other legions. They're pulling strings behind the scenes. You know, it's like the ultimate version of that. He's such a cool character. He's a little bastard in the game with increasing my CP aura. I fucking hate him, but he's great in the lore.
That'd be a great wouldn't that be a great Alpha Legion ability as well?
Yeah.
Dude, that'd be very Alpha Legion-y. Like, what a lad. I mean, to the point where when I get my Word Bearers army together, I'm running Cypher every time.
He's great at the minute.
I'm just having him.
Like, get him in the middle of the battle. And you know, he shoots with his pistols in melee. They're his melee attacks are his pistols. I came up against that the other day and I was like, I'm sorry, why are you shooting me? It's the fight phase. And he's like, he shoots with his pistols in melee. And I was like, that's fucking cool. Like,
also, his pistols are well pokey. It's got, like,
they are, because he's got, like, a bolt pistol and a
plasma.
Yeah. He's a cool model as well. But yeah, that's a great one. But, like, Cypher, there's definitely going to be some, like, we've talked about what we want to see in the setting and stuff like that in previous episodes. Go check them out if you haven't watched them. But, like, it's such an interesting, like, he's such an interesting character to take the lore forwards with now. And he will be involved. I'm almost 100% sure. So I can't wait to see what they do. It's going to be great. What a good choice. Banger.
There we go. Awesome. What are your favourite mysteries? Please comment, because there's loads.
Do.
And I don't think we could do, to be fair, a part 2 of this.
Oh, easily.
And not rush
Part
it.
2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah,
4, 5, 6, 7 going on.
Yeah, we'll let them shake out.
This is a great one. So there we go. Now, next topic was something that you suggested, which I love because normally I'm master of topics, and I normally like.
Yes, I send you the odd one. They're always a banger, but yeah.
Thank you. Yeah,
yours have been incredible. You do a good job every week, Russ. You know, we always got something to talk
about. Oh, you fucking beautiful man. So this is going to be the concept of the hobby time machine. Woo-hoo. So the concept is that if we could go back in time and talk to our younger self about what to do right or wrongly in the hobby, what would you discuss with your younger time machine self, and what would you want them to do? Great. Can I start this off?
Yes, kick it off. Let's go.
So philosophically, what I will say is life is a journey.
It is.
And every mistake that we make up till this point is totally valid and actually teaches you probably more life lessons than had it been if you would have walked straight and narrow, right?
Yeah.
However, there was one thing, this is just a concept thing more than it is. I've got some other more meatier things, but this is again quite spiritual, but like young me, and to be fair, I didn't really feel this per se, but like, don't ever feel embarrassed for your love of the hobby. You were right all along. You were right.
Yes.
Right?
100%.
Like,
that's such a good
right?
point.
And I know this seems like as a stupid aside, right? But like,
feel that right here, Russ.
Yeah, dude, me too. I get a bit lumpy throaty about this, right? Where it's like, when we were younger, and I know that like it's such a different world now, right? It really is, like, genuinely. But my God, right? And a lot of people will feel the same. And whether you've had other issues in the hobby, like whether it was a trans thing for some people, or being a woman in the hobby, or whatever, or having different age groups or whatever. Like, for whatever reason, sometimes you feel persecuted in the hobby, right? For whatever reason that is, and even to be a hobbyist compared to mainstream society is kind of a little bit like you're putting a target on your back, or used to be, right? Before, like, what I would affectionately refer to as the geek chic revolution, right?
It's definitely more accepted now, right?
Absolutely, sure. and like honestly, back in the day, it was such a social suicide thing to say that like I liked Warhammer, but we were right. We were fucking right. Like, look at the popularity of the hobby now. Look at what's potentially on the horizon. Look at how awesome Space Marine 2 is, right? The fucking hobby is brilliant. Let no one tell you otherwise. And if I could say that to my younger self, I was like, own it, kid. It's wicked. Like you were right. Be valid in your choices. Like, you will reap the rewards of it in the future. Go and be you, kid.
Yeah, that is 100% the right way to look at it. Like, I can't agree more with you, because when I was younger, I was at boarding school, as we previously touched on, and like, my mate and I, we also talked about the Warhammer club my mate and I tried to set up, and that went down about as well as you could expect. And like, everybody knew that we played it. We were nerds. Like, we had the piss taken out of us for it. I used to come back and find my models like thrown in my fish tank and stuff like that. Of course I had a fish tank. But like, it's, bullying and like people just picking on you aside. It's fine. It was all right. They survived. So, but like, get all of that sort of stuff aside. Like, it is 100% like, stick to what you love. Like, it doesn't just apply to this hobby. It applies to whatever your hobby is. Whether you're into golf at the age of 15, whatever it is. If people are taking the piss out of you for it, ignore them and march on, because I guarantee you down the line, you're going to look back and think, I'm fucking glad I stuck with that, because this is, this is an integral part of me and my life and my character, and I love it. And I think, like, I remember vividly, like, when you bring this up, it reminds me when I was at school, because obviously people knew I played Warhammer, and I did business A-level, and we went to Warhammer HQ as a school trip, which was really fucking cool. And we went to meet one of the top people. I can't remember who it was, but one of the top guys, and we sat down in a boardroom, all 20 of us in the room, and the guy goes, right, so do any of you play Warhammer? And literally every single person in my class all pointed at me. I was just like, me. It was just me in the whole room. And then he was like, awesome. And then, we got talking and all that sort of stuff. And it felt like vindication because everyone was just sat there going, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, I fucking knew all of it. It was great. Like, it's a really fun experience. But just stick with it, guys. Like, if you're young now and you're getting the piss taken out of you, ignore it. Plow on.
But now you've got some cool situations where Warhammer clubs at school are really supported by faculty and staff, right? Where like
and GW,
even it's like Mr. Smith plays Imperial Fists or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And like things and stuff, and also like at colleges and stuff. Like my wife and stuff. I'm not gonna like dox her and tell her where she works and stuff, but like she as like an icebreaker to like like new students and stuff like that. She says that she plays Warhammer, and people are like fair play, yeah, cool. Yeah, awesome, yeah, fine. No,
it's cool.
And it's like,
it's much cooler now.
Like what? Like what?
Yeah.
What fucking world do we live in now?
If they had said that when we were kids, everyone would be like,
yeah, nerd.
Really? Yes,
Yeah.
nerd. But yeah, fucking loser.
But do you know what I mean? But I do feel like that sort of like us and them mentality with geek culture is coming to an end, and it's like we had to almost like suffer through that so that like next generations could live guilt free in it. And it's just like, but I imagine there's still people out there though that feel persecuted. Maybe people that are outside the culture of Europe and stuff. Maybe in America still, you've still probably got elements of satanic panic around it, right? Where it's
I'm sure.
Is that their game with demons and stuff, right?
Yeah,
so like and places that seem a bit more cool, than Western culture as well. So like just do you, and as you say, it's just a general great life philosophy to have. So there you go.
It is. That's a really good point. I like that. That's a great hobby time machine. Just go back in time, like Russ just peeps through the curtain. He's like, "Stick with it, boy." yeah. You're gonna be cool one day.
My life was guitar and Warhammer. That was it. I was literally
You're gonna be a DILF one day. No, it's a good point. I think, like, for me, this is an interesting one as well. Is like looking back. I think it's really easy as a young hobbyist, like, and I'm not talking like very beginnings, because I think when you start out, you should just pick up whatever the fuck you think looks cool, paint it, play with it if you want to play with it, whatever. Just get into the hobby, enjoy the lore, and just sort of grow naturally, and you'll find an army eventually that sticks and all that sort of stuff. So that side of it's great. But the next part of it is what I would call when you come back to it. Because a lot of people, especially in our generation, we started playing when we were young. Life got in the way, school, uni, whatever it is, and then you come back to the hobby a few years down the line. I think we've both done it. I know most people have done it. Like, it just seems to be the way of things. And when you do, you tend to go a little bit mad. Now, this is probably me talking to maybe like 24-year-old me. Stop buying so much fucking Warhammer, because you will just buy way too much great plastic. You get a little bit of disposable income and you'll think, oh, that new release looks fucking cool. It's not even for the army I collect, but it's going to be a little hobby project. It's just a palette cleanser. And then lo and behold, you've got a whole new army.
Fuck you! How dare you? I
Tell me
feel
I'm
personally
wrong.
attacked.
Tell me I'm wrong.
I feel personally... do you know what? I am two frames of mind with this, not to be disrespectful of your point, because actually I think you've got a really good point where I think if you, not to overwhelm you, I think is wise, right? But it's like,
that's it.
One thing I will say about this is like your personal income will wax and wane as you get older.
Of course.
Right? And like, you might have responsibilities of family and stuff like that. And what I will say is like, actually, if you are buying all of that grey plastic and it does make you happy, like, that's great. And actually, you may not have the disposable income at a later date to buy lots of fucking minis anyway. So if you cash in when you can, and then you can sit on that hold for the rest of your life, like some
The only issue is then James Workshop culls a load of models that you've bought, and you're like, damn it, all my Forge World stuff's out. Damn it, all of this stuff's Legends. So you've got to be a little bit careful with that. But I think it's more of an element, like, I do get the retail therapy. I love it. Like, in my 20s, I bought a lot of Warhammer, for sure. When I came to move house at one point, and I opened the garage, and I was like, oh, fuck, I've got too much Warhammer. Like, you've been trying to sneak it past the wife for like a few years, and then you start to, you're like, you come in and you're like, here's a box of chocolates. And she's like, what's that box underneath? Ignore that box. That's not for you. That's my chocolates.
Or your husband,
But,
if you're a lady
yes,
gamer
or
or
your
non-binary
husband,
gamer,
or-
your husband.
Exactly.
See, I can't do that with my wife. She knows all because she plays, so she knows. Mel knows. Mel knows all.
Russ is like throwing his boxes up for trying to get them down the chimney. Like, oh, it's great. But no,
That's where all these
I think
word bearers come from. Oh no!
I think like it's just I think the point I'm trying to make is more stick to a project and try and see it through. I know it's very, very tempting to buy tons of grey plastic, but don't, the odd palette cleanser, if you're actually doing the odd palette cleanser here and there, is fine.
Yeah.
But, try and focus on an army. This is what I've done for the past 3 years. I had a fuckload of Necrons, and I basically was like, I'm just going to sit down, I'm going to paint as much of this as I can until I've got a really good playable collection. I've got like 9,000 points of painted Necrons now, and I've still got even more that I could paint, right? But if I also have like 5 other armies that I've got here in boxes that are either new on sprue or built and not painted. And it's great for me now, like Russ said, because I've kind of banked it up, and I'm obviously about to set up a battle, the battle barn. I'm actually doing like a wargaming studio, so that works out fine. But it might not be that way for everyone, and you'll usually make a bit of a loss when you come to resell it if you do.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just try and contain it to like one army as much as you can. As my advice to previous me, I think.
I will expand on that with another point that I was going to make, which actually is, and to be fair, in support of that, which is like when I was really young, getting into the hobby, like my first stage before I then took a break and then came back. So actually, this is before coming back, which is what you're talking about, where I had zero hobby focus. So what I mean by that is like I was buy something of every faction. I'd buy which is cute in a way, actually, where you're like,
when you're starting out.
But then what you're then left with is like a load of random models from a load of random ranges with no focus whatsoever, just because stuff looked cool. So I'd say to my younger self to like focus my hobby stuff and like actually choose a thing or 2 things that I really like and go down that route. If that makes sense. Also,
it's hard to do that when you're starting out, right?
Yeah, you're just like,
it's like I was saying, it looks cool. You want to get it. It's like you just like the models or whatever. You don't know anything about the game at that point.
Which, to be fair, that's a passion killer. Otherwise, right? It'd be the equivalent of like. Of like for a kid going like, I bought this Lego or I bought this toy, and your older version being like, well, keep it in the box, we're going to put that in the loft now. Do you know what I mean? It's just like the energy's just not there. But what I would say to my younger teenage self is buy the following things for your future selves, because your future self is going to want them. And that would be a Dogs of War fantasy army, because oh my god, getting hold of any Dogs of War stuff is a pain in the ass. A Legion of the Damned force.
Yeah, any pieces of a mastodon you can afford.
Yeah, exactly. Or a handful of Morheim gangs, please. And your future self would be well happy about it. So there you go.
But no, I think there's a lot of advice I could give my younger self, like as a hobbyist. And I also think, like, back to your original point that you made about, like, when it wasn't cool and we kind of stuck through it. I almost feel like you and I, especially, and like, I'm sure there's tons of other people in our situation, because we stuck with it and doubled down and were just like, no, do you know what? Fuck the haters. We're going to do this. I actually feel like we've got so much passion for the hobby now, because we stuck with it, like, and we didn't like let people push us away from it. So I think you really do need to do that. But no, I could give my younger self hobby advice all day, because
we're like the custodians now of the people that were older, that were like, do you know what I mean? That, I don't think even exist in the hobby anymore, where, they've just circled out or whatever. Like, it's weird. It came in waves, didn't it, the hobby? It's so fascinating. So fascinating. I think just to finish off that topic, the last one that I would like to say is just like, the other thing is, run your own race in terms of your hobby, speed, and paint bravely. I think this is an issue that a lot of...
That's a really good advice.
That's a Goonhammer quote, right? But it's like, please don't be intimidated by what you see on the box in terms of like quality. And also these days, if you're a young hobbyist, like, don't be too influenced by the gram and too scared of the gram, where it's like, you're going to compare your early paint jobs to like so many amazing painters that have like spent their entire lives, and me and Ed have been doing the hobby for like probably over 20 years between us, right? Or like at different points, and it's like, you know, we're still evolving as painters and hobbyists, and like, you know, we still probably do a project where we're like, I could have done that better. Or like the classic British thing of like, I suck at painting, even though we don't, and you need to stop doing that. That's a script that you do need to change.
I don't suck at painting. I said I'm a good painter, but I'm not like... Shut up about it. Anyway, stop blowing smoke up my ass.
It's that bit. I'm
a great painter.
That bit. Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Right.
There we go. Right.
Fuck up.
Right. Thank you. No, I was right though, wasn't I? But it's like, you know, and you know, run your own hobby race, and don't be afraid to paint, because some people, and I've seen this on Facebook groups or whatever, right? They like go, oh, I don't want to paint my models because I don't want to fuck them up and make them look shit. There. And then inevitably, what happens is you just don't ever get better at painting because you're not fucking painting.
You never painting. You're playing with grey models down your local hobby store.
Exactly. It's a skill. It's a skill that you need to refine and redefine and stuff like that. So
just go on YouTube, type like easy painting X, whatever your army is, and then just start there and follow it through. Get like a handful of paints and get going on it. And if it looks dog shit, so be it. At least you've got paint on them, right? And then you'll get a little bit better, as Russ said. And then next time when you go to paint the next unit, you'll be better, and then better and better and better and better. And then eventually, in like 5 or so years' time, you'll look back and you'll think, do you know, I'll just strip those original models if you don't want them to look like that, and just redo them. Some people do that, or just keep them as a little marker of your progress, you know, and don't stress about it. So
no, you know, you're valid. All of your choices are valid.
Exactly.
Right then, we're going to do our final topic, which is our lore topic.
Yes.
So our lore topic, and this one, I was quoting you before the show, and you were like, "What?" You got really confused by this, which made me laugh. And that is favorite armor marks.
Yes,
and what I was
going.
Favorite
so you mean like sergeant, lieutenant?
Yeah, and I'm like, no, lad, like the mark of armor. So anyone that doesn't know, obviously, power armor in the 40K universe come in what's known as marks, so different like versions of or redesigns of various things. We're going to count all variants here, including the modern ones or kind of crazy. Obviously, the only thing we're not counting is dreadnought armor, because that's a vehicle technically, right? In this instance, that's my only stipulation. So
tactical dreadnought armor is fine.
I guess.
Armor.
Yeah. We'll come on to that in a minute. So what is your first choice of favorite armor?
So my first choice, I'm going to come in with the ultra modern one because I just love it, which is Mark X, which is 10 Phobos pattern armor. I fucking love it. It's the one where it's got like this really cool sort of six-packy kind of like almost like knotted kind of black muscle. Yeah. And they've got and I love like the helmets, especially like the Reaver variant where they've got like the skull helmets that just look fucking awesome. I'm a big fan. It's like a lighter version of the regular Mark X, and it's just cool. I love my stealthy stuff, and I think it looks wicked.
Yeah,
I wish Reavers were better in the game.
Yeah, that's shit, aren't they? Infiltrators are really good though.
They are.
You are Captain Sneaky McSneak Boy, aren't you? Really, like that's so on brand for you.
It is.
I kind of quite fancy a bit of Phobos every now and again. I like the fact that their shoulder pads are a bit sleeker as well. They're not so chunky. I just would get really frustrated. Yes, exactly. I just couldn't really do an entire army of them, if that makes sense for me.
No, they have their place, I think, but they're very cool. I like them. Sleek. What's your first one?
Sleek.
Sleek.
I'm gonna go with my favorite. If I could be packed in a armor, I would be in Mark III. Classicos. So Mark III for me is where power armor during the early stages of the Great Crusade and stuff like that really kicked off, because obviously Mark I was Thunder Warriors armor.
Yep.
So technically, I don't think many Astartes have ever worn Mark I, or if they have, it'd be in pieces rather than an entire suit, let's say. Then Mark II was what was known as the Crusader pattern. Mark III is like, for me, the classic Horus Heresy, and when you look at like Horus Heresy compared to like modern 40K is where you see the 10,000 years difference for me.
Yes,
because sometimes when you look at like Mark VI and stuff, Mark VII, the the classic Darth Vader helmet style Space Marine helmets. Like, it doesn't look like the crazy difference of 10,000 years. But you look at Mark III, and it's like Space Knights. Like, they look so Space Knighty. Like, all of it is very, like, plate armor. Like, and it's very solid. Like, Mark III has the reputation in the Horus Heresy as being really, like, strong and hard. Right? It doesn't have very good maneuverability, but the legions that value Mark III are, like, the Death Guard. Yeah, and because a lot of their Death Guard, Iron Warriors, a lot of the Death Guard models in the modern corrupted Mark III suits, right?
Yes, they are, which I love.
And also Dark Angels utilize a shit ton of Mark III. For their Dreadwing especially. So the Dreadwing Interruptors, who are like the plasma flamers, right? Yes. Like when you're like hurling, I so want those in the modern setting. I was expecting a modern Primaris-sized version of that with the Lion's Return, but GW, get on it, please. But like when you're hurling like molten plasma flame out of that, and you need a hard armor so it's not melting underneath you. Do you know what I mean? So like Mark III for me is solid, strong. Weirdly, a lot of White Scars use Mark III as well on their speeders, which I find really interesting. So not what you would expect, but. That's Mark III, just because it's solid and looks cool. And
so, like, touching on what you were saying about armor that the Death Guard currently frequently wield is the Cataphractii pattern Terminator armor for me. A lot of the Blight Lords have got that, like a corrupted version of it. It's just so fucking cool. I loved like the double shoulder pads. If you haven't seen it, like really cool with all the like little tassels of like leathery bits coming out from underneath, and they got the loincloth Achilles. Of leather tassels as well.
True, they do. Actually,
they do, and it's just like it's really like it up here, and like they've got this sort of plate around the mouth, and their head's just kind of like buried in there, and it just
squashed.
They're like. It just looks so fucking cool. It's like you look at that and you think to yourself, how the fuck am I getting through that? That is an absolute meaty plate, right? So that's my Terminator, my favorite Terminator armor.
No, I love. I'm a massive fan of Terminators for obvious reasons, and I'll discuss that in a second. And actually, Cataphractii nearly made it into mine. To be fair, I think the thing that I love about Cataphractii the most is like. Again, similar to Mark III, where you can look at that and go, that's an armor of yesteryear. And the thing that gives it away for me for Cataphractii is when you look at the back of them. So, like, a lot of Terminator plate doesn't tend to have, like, power packs on the whole. They tend to all be inbuilt, right? But when you look at the back of those, you see almost like a chunky sort of, like...
little engine in
like
there.
With the turbines
some little exhaust. Like, the little turbine exhaust.
And you can imagine that's kicking out so much power as they're like smashing people up. And in the Horus Heresy, they're really tough. Like Cataphractii is like the slow, hard armor, if that makes sense. Nice choice, bro. Love that.
Good choice, yeah. Back to you, sir.
So to ping pong that back to my favourite Terminator is so basic bitch, but I love it, is the Mars pattern classic modern Terminator plate, which actually was still kicking around during the Horus Heresy, ironically. But it's like what I affectionately describe as like the bulldog helmets. Yep. Like the classic. Like, I'm so glad that when they redid the Terminator kit for 10th edition, that they pretty much just upscaled the classic Terminator. Like, because it felt like Gravis was kind of like a spiritual successor to like Terminator plate. And whether they me armor as we knew it, but me too, I would have been gutted. But I so love that they just basically updated that armor plate because it looks so cool. To me, it is like the iconic like Terminator armor. You know, it's the the Deathwing obviously is such a massive part of Dark Angels for me. Like I kind of affectionately refer to myself as a Deathwing player that dips into Dark Angels, right? Where like I love Deathwing so much. I have so many Deathwing Terminators. I've got so many preposterous like 60, 64, 65 Terminator models.
Ridiculous.
Like just for Dark Angels. I love them. I love them so much, right? And like and I love the vents in the back, like the two big vents in the back, and they just upscale so well. And you put them next to anything small on the tabletop, and like a guardsman. they're just massive. They're just fucking ginormous.
Yeah.
To the point where one day I will treat myself when I'm a bit more flush and get like a replica Deathwing Terminator helmet.
The helmets for them are so knightly as well. They just look awesome. Really,
love
really
it.
cool.
Fucking love it. Absolutely love it.
So I mean, on a similar note, like you were talking about, obviously Gravis. I think I fucking love Gravis. I know it's a modern armor again.
No, I think it's cool.
It's a Mark X pattern Gravis armor. It's basically as if like a normal suit of Mark 10 tactical armor had a baby with a Terminator. That would be kind of where it comes out. It's a bit more maneuverable than the Terminators, and it's not quite as like solid framed, but it's a lot bulkier than the Mark 10 regular. And it's got like that Cataphraxis style, like big neck shield, you know, like, and like comes up around the head, and it's really chunky. And I just think, like, especially aggressors, for me, I just absolutely love the look of aggressors, and also like Inceptors as well, where they've got that chung come down, you know, the little thing. That, I think that is just such a cool style. And they look hard, they look massive, you know, they look formidable.
I'm not going to hate on the Gravis, because like I would have been so anti-Gravis if they would have replaced Terminators. But in addition to, I love that like Terminators are almost like relic, right? Where like they're kind of like chapter relics. Where also with the Crux Terminatus and the mythology there, right? It feels like Terminator Plate is like, oh, where the Gravis is just like as mundane as power can be. It's just very solid, very. Like put into mainstream production, solid, heavy power armor, right?
Because it's an interesting one within the game, because it's tougher than Terminator armor, but it's not, the saves aren't as good, right?
Yeah,
so it's kind of it's a different kind of armor. Like it's, you know, it's T6 versus T5. It's got a 3-up save versus a 2-up save, and it doesn't have the invuln. But obviously, is it the heavy intercessors that get like +1 to their save against damage 1 or something like that? It used to be that way at least. But it's cool. It's got its place. I think it's a slightly different. It's obviously a little bit quicker as well, so it's a bit more maneuverable. Yeah. But I think it's a really cool looking armor, and a great addition to Marines.
Yeah, I think they made the design better as well, because when the Gravis first came out, especially the first Gravis Captain, he kind of had this weird pregnant belly thing going on, right? Where he was quite protruding, and like over time, it's just been made really cool looking. And my favorite Gravis unit is the old Eradicators. Like I think they look great. They look really so cool. Good. Like I'm so into my Eradicators. I love Eradicators. I think they're fantastic. Good. And their design is so solid, and like,
it's nice that they don't need you to use your reroll hits. What's it called? Oath. You don't need Oath on the target for them, because they just get, if they're going against a monster or vehicle, they just get reroll hits and wins, which is amazing. Awesome. With those guys, they just come down and absolutely straight fuck you. It's great. Yeah. So they're really Eradicators boys.
Eradicators are brilliant. Let no one take. As soon as they were released, they're brilliant. They've always been brilliant. And like, there's
been a couple of characters as well that have got Gravis armor, like Tor Garadin and what's the Iron Hands guy? I've forgotten his name now. But like, they look really
Iron
cool.
Father.
Yeah,
the Iron Father guy, right?
Ferris or something like that. So they're really chunky boys. I just love it. I just think it's it's tall. It's just big old boys. Who wants not to?
There you go. Right? See. There you go. See.
Good choices.
Right. I've got one more very quickly, and it's hilarious because it will, because I rag on this Legion all the time, and I find it very funny. It's the one thing. It's the one thing that Raven Guard did right, and that's Corvus. That's Corvus Mark 6 pattern. Yeah, I love Corvus. Beakies,
classic beakies.
I love a fucking beaky, mate.
Beaky helmets are great, right? They're classic and iconic.
For me, the reason why is because obviously a part of the Dark Angels army is the Raven Wing, and they all love a beaky for some reason. I think it's because of the Raven bit. Yeah. They do Ravens better than the fucking Raven Guards. Fuck you, Raven Guard. But like, sorry, Raven Guard. I'm not sorry, really. Just get a better chapter. It's fine. But I was so happy with the Age of Darkness starter box that it was all Mark 6, because technically that came quite late in the Heresy, right? And like, not every Legion had access, so they've kind of done a bit of a retcon with that. It's almost like retcons are kind of a common part of like Warhammer lore, but whatever. But like, we won't go there. But like,
no, it's not.
But like, but I love a beaky helmet. I think beaky helmets are the tits, like, and they look cool. and it was the only good thing that the Raven Wing ever gave the Imperium.
Sneaky beakies.
So there you go.
Yeah, very cool.
Sneaky beakies.
Yeah.
Even
Good
the
choice.
orcs say beakies. The orcs
Yeah, they
like,
do
"Let's
call them
crack some
beakies, yeah.
Because that goes back to Rogue Trader. That they call them
Does it?
beakies. Because if you see on the front cover, the old Crimson Fists on the front cover of Rogue Trader all were pretty much beaky. There were some notable
Beakies,
beaky
yeah.
helmets.
I fucking
Doing the
love
captain
Crimson
at the
Fists.
top.
Oh,
I know you do.
so cool. So cool.
Pedro.
Just that shot of them all on like a hill, just like fending off the orcs. There's just like all of them. There's a million orcs, and it's like it's just so cool, so cool.
Classic.
I'm into that. Yeah, really into it. It is.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that wraps up our episode. That was episode 15, Ed. Oh,
I know.
My days.
It's getting higher every
days.
week. It's so yeah, guys. If you have anything that we've touched on today, like if you can hop in that hobby time machine and go back and tell yourselves previously any advice, we'd love to hear it in the comments below. Please do drop us a line, or if we missed any armor marks that you think were pretty banging, then do just leave us a comment. And again, also like Russ is doing an incredible job with the topics every week, so we don't really need to worry about it. But if you guys have got any suggestions or things that you'd like to see us talk about down the line, please do also leave us a comment and just give us a suggestion, and we'll see if we can touch on it at some point. Because
we have done
stuff.
viewer questions before. The most famous one being a goth girl's guide to 40K was classic.
That was a fun
Lara,
one.
you rock, buddy.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That was all funny. So, we do all crazy taste there. So just comment below what you want us to talk about, because we'll talk about it. It's cool.
And hopefully in a couple of weeks' time, we should have our first guest. I'm not going to spoil who it is yet until we've got them locked in. But we will give you a teaser probably next week or something like that. So
I'll be honest, I'm mega hyped. I'm mega hyped about all of our future guests. And thank you, all of you guest people that you're going to, because you're all awesome people. And I've wanted to have a conversation with all of you. So the fact that I am is fantastic.
There are some incredible personalities in this hobby. So it's great to be able to, some of them we know well, some of them we don't know as well, but this is a fantastic excuse to, just have a chat with these people and sort of unpack a few things that are like close to their hearts and see what they think about it. So
absolutely.
We will be doing exactly that very soon.
And I'd like to say at the end of every podcast, thank you, Ed. I don't take your time for granted. You are absolute
Thank you to you, Russ.
And I enjoy this every time I see you. Your little
you
face.
are my
I just want to grab you. Thank you. I'll take that.
No, likewise. We put in God's work, but we do it for the love. We do it for each other. It's a great weekly thing that we just get to shoot the shit with each other, talk about our favorite hobby with you guys. So thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao.